Thank you, Rabbi Glatstein. We have this chus to have you again this year, and it's hard. We're doing this already for a few years. Tisha B'av Bichlal, talking about Tisha B'av, doing it again. Everybody is in a different place, but we need some chizuk. I know you put out the book on the essay from the Chofetz Chaim. It's a piece of the Yeshua, so you put out translation. If you can tell us about that, that would be interesting.
Yeah, so about 100 years ago, about the year 1913, Chofetz Chaim wrote an essay, Tzipis Yeshua, to try to inspire Jews to yearn for the Geula. And Chofetz Chaim had a hard time publishing it. He wasn't able to publish it because of censorship. He had to slip it in as a supplement to a magazine that doesn't exist, although the name exists, Hamodia. That was the name of it at the time. It was a magazine that existed between 1910 and 1915. It was published by one of the Rabbanim in Europe, in Paltava. And the purpose of the essay was to remind Yidden that, we have to do mitzvahs. Of course we have to do mitzvahs. We have 613 mitzvahs, but there's certain things that are even more fundamental than mitzvahs. There are 6 questions we're all going to be asked after 120. One of them is, did you await the coming of Mashiach? So the Chofetz Chaim wrote this essay to be ma'or people, to make yearning for Mashiach part of a person's day, part of a person's Seder Hayom, a part of a person's reality. So you see on the cover, we have a etch of the third Beis HaMikdash. It's a beautiful cover. It's a beautiful sefer, but it has to become part of us. And most Jews, if you speak to them about the subject of Tzipis Yeshua, say, of course, I daven 3 times a day, v'yishalayim ircha, v'sachazenu einenu b'shavchalot Tzion, ki lishuascha kivinu kol hayom. By the way, I don't know if we could let the cat out of the bag. We're recording this on Hey Av. Is that okay that I'm saying that?
Sure.
The truth is always good, yeah, right? Hey Av is the yard site.
This is pre-recorded, for those who think it's live, Here we are, before Tisha B'Av, working on this.
Preparing. Hey Av is the yard site of the Arizal. Tonight is the yard site of the Arizal, Hey Av. And the Arizal said that after 120, the question, did you await the coming of Mashiach, the designated spot to be able to fulfill the obligation to await the coming of Mashiach, and therefore to be able to answer in the affirmative that we indeed awaited the coming of Mashiach, is in the bracha of Es Tzemach David, when you say the words, Ki lishuascha kivinu kol hayom. For your salvation, we awaited the whole day. So during those words, you need to stop and focus and try to be ma'orer and to engender genuine yearning for Mashiach. I remember when I was a bacher, I had this chus to go to Harav Avigdor Miller, Zechat Tzak Livracha. So his custom was that on Rosh Chodesh, he would put keys in his siddur so as not to forget Yalav Yavai. This way, when you get to Ritzei and you're wondering what's this big thing of keys doing there, you say, oh, because it's Rosh Chodesh. So we need to make some kind of mark in our siddur, because 3 times a day we say these words. We need to take advantage of the opportunity. But it's more than that. The parsha that we're going to read after Tisha B'Av, Parshas Va'eschanan, Chazal say, what does the word Va'eschanan mean? Moshe Rabbeinu says, I davened. We'll say Va'espalel. Where does this word Va'eschanan come from? So the numerical value of Va'eschanan is 515. What did Moshe Rabbeinu daven for so many times? He says he davened 515 times. What was he davening for? Parnasa? He was davening for a raise. He was davening for a new model of a car. He was davening for one thing, to be able to enter the land of Israel, to go into Eretz Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu davened incessantly 515 times, to the point where Hashem said, stop it already, no more. Don't you dare say one more tefillah. But Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest leader of Klal Yisrael in our history, greatest person who ever lived. Think about how much energy and time and emotion he invested to daven to be able to be zoichet to go into Eretz Yisrael. 515 tefillos. The Pnei Yeshua makes a cheshbon from the time that Hashem told him, "You're not going in," until he passed away. Shachris Mincha Amarav, he did not let up again and again and again and again. He davened 515 tefillos. He even said, Ebra na. The Rishonim say, Ebra na. Let me go in 51 amos. The Yarden is 50 amos wide. He said, let me go in 1 amma. Ebra na. Let me cross na 51 amos. Let me step foot in Eretz Yisrael. The Medrash says, the Moshe Rabbeinu said, if I can't go in as a human being, let me go in as a behema, or let me be an oif and fly through. You know, when Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi, we're going to say on Tisha B'Av, said, who would make me wings and I would float through Eretz Yisrael? Where did he get such an idea that it has any value to float through Eretz Yisrael? He got it from Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was, the Medrash says, was mispalel. If I can't go in as a Adam, let me go in as a shar, let me go in as an oif. You know, a frum Jew who would make an honest assessment of the state of ruchnias of the Jewish people, or even of themselves, even someone who's a Talmid Chacham, even someone who learns 3 Siddharim a day, to make an honest assessment, what is it like to be a frum Jew without the ability to live in Eretz Yisrael? It's completely missing. Moshe Rabbeinu, he had Torah. I think we could say that Moshe Rabbeinu had Lamdus, he had Amkus HaTorah, he had Havanas HaTorah, but he devoted all of his tefillos just to walk, to be able to put his feet on the ground. Moshe Rabbeinu. So if I could share with you an insight, I think this is not a chidush, but this is just a simple observation that we're going to have in the kinnos. You know, the last 10 kinnos all begin with the word Tzion, the Tzion kinnos, composed by Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi. If you read them, they're not kinnos. They're not kinnos. We're not mourning anything. They're not mourning anything. They're not mourning the destruction of Eretz Yisrael. They're not mourning the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. They're poetic. They're poetically articulating longing for the land, for the air, for the environment. How is that a kinna? A kinna, I understand. You want to say kinnas for the Crusades, for the Jews who were massacred, for the communities that were killed, for the persecution, for the burning of the Shas. You want to say a kinna for the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, those are kinnos. We're lamenting tragic events. But the last 10 kinnos, they're not kinnos. They're poetry of love for Eretz Yisrael. So what's it doing in the kinna? What's it doing in the book? And I think it serves a very, very important function, that the kinnos end with these 10 kinnos that begin with the word Tzion. So let's think about why we had to go into Galus in the first place. The Maharal says that on that fateful night, when the Meraglim came back with the report about Eretz Yisrael, the pasuk says, "Vayivku ha'am b'layla," the people cried, and Hashem said, "You're crying for nothing. I'll give you good reason to cry." The Maharal explains that if you cry over something, if you cry that you don't want something, you don't just say, "I don't want it," but you so deeply don't want something that you cry, you're able to shed a tear because you don't want something. That means you are fundamentally disconnected with that thing. That means that item and you have no connection. You don't belong together. The fact that Klal Yisrael cried over Eretz Yisrael, Hashem said, okay, you're crying. That means it's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. You're not connected to it. I'm going to have to take you out of the land. It's not a punishment. It's a reality. If you're able to shed a tear that you don't want to live here, then you don't belong there. It's not shayach to you. It's not connected to you. So therefore, the Galus of 2,000 years is because we cried over going to Eretz Yisrael. Now, you know, the Nesivos wrote one of the classic Lamda Shesfarim, because I don't want to be accused here of some ideology that's you can say, no, I never heard of such a hashkafa. Really? You learned the Nesivos, right? The Nesivos Hamishpat, the Ketzois Nesivos. The Nesivos wrote a Perush on Eicha, on the Pasuk. Vidim asa alecheya. Your tear is on your cheek. The Nesivos Taichas, and Nesivos interprets. The tear of the Meraglim is still on the cheek of the Jewish people today. Meaning, we're still crying that we don't want to go back. We say, why should we go back? We have Moistos HaTorah, we have Yeshiva Gedolos, we have Torah, we have Lamdos, we have Shiurim. We don't need it. What do we need Eretz Yisrael for? We don't need it. We're not missing anything. We have Torah. We have the Ir HaTorah. We have the tier of the Meraglim. This is not what I'm saying. I'm telling you what the Nesivoy says. He says the tears of the Meraglim, they're still on our cheek. We still are telling Rebbe, we don't need it. We have enough ruchnius without it. The tear is still on our cheek. The only way to go back is to show that we really want it and we're really missing. And we have an ahava for Eretz Yisrael. However that expresses itself. The last 10 kinnos, they're not kinnos per se that we're mourning the tragedies of Churban. The last 10 kinnos are trying to rectify what got us into this mess in the first place. What got us in the mess in the first place is we don't need Eretz Yisrael. So therefore Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi composed 10 kinnos that were longing just to fly through the land. We're longing to step on the dirt, like Rav Zundel of Salant would be walking through Yerushalayim. So why are you walking so much? He says, the Gemara says, you have to spend shlish b'yeshiva, shlish b'amida, shlish b'halicha. The last 10 kinnos are rectifying the problem that got us into this mess in the first place. And what really substantiated this idea in the biography of the Kloisenberger Rebbe says that when he was coming to Eretz Yisrael, finally to make residence in Eretz Yisrael, you know what he was doing on the plane? He was saying the 10 kinnos of Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi, the Tzion kinnos, longing for Eretz Yisrael. So this is if you notice, in this week's parasha, in Parashas Devarim, there are many, many things that emphasize the centrality of Eretz Yisrael, namely V'kamta v'alisa, that you go up. Rashi says, what do you mean you go up? Because Eretz Yisrael is Gavaya Mikol Haratzos. Eretz Yisrael is the highest of all the lands. Really? It's not higher than Switzerland. How is it the highest? I don't even know if it's higher than the Catskills. Well, what does it mean Eretz Yisrael is Gavaya Mikol Haratzos? So the Chassam Sofer explains that if you have a kador, you have a ball, any point that you focus on and you turn it to the top will be the highest point. When we say Eretz Yisrael is Gavaya Mikol Haratzos, it doesn't mean the altitude of Tzfas is higher than the Alps. It means because in the mind of a Jew, Eretz Yisrael is the center point of the universe. So we turn the whole world with Eretz Yisrael on top. So it's Gavaya Mikol Haratzos, meaning in our mind, it's paramount. Or the parasha says, Nahar Gadol, Nahar Pras, the great river. What's so great about the Euphrates? I don't know, is it bigger than the Mississippi? Rashi says, because it's associated with Eretz Yisrael. Because it's associated with Eretz Yisrael. So sometimes in life, people get carried away with side reasons for whatever hashkafa a person has, why perhaps they're not able yet to make their permanent residence there. But at least in their mind, Eretz Yisrael has to be the center point. The ahava has to be there, and it has to be a genuine ahava. That's part of Torah mitzvahs, and part of rectifying the ched hameraglim, according to the Nesivos, is we have to wipe away that tear. And the way to wipe, and it's not enough to wipe away the tear. You have to counteract the 2,000 years of crying, and you have to engender a deep love for Eretz Yisrael. When a person goes to sleep at night, do they imagine flying, gliding through the airspace of Eretz Yisrael, like a bird, like Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi. Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi said, Chaye neshamas avir artzech, that the ear of Eretz Yisrael has spiritual life-giving properties. We have to develop such an attitude so that we could start to think, maybe one day they would have yeshivas there that are going to work for my family. Maybe one day they're going to have communities. Because the first step is you have to wipe away that tear of the meraglim. And there are many things in life we daven for. I'm sure people have a whole laundry list of things they daven for: refuah, parnasa, chinuch habanim. Imagine if you could see what Moshe Rabbeinu davened for. Maybe that would give us some insight in what we should daven for. But we don't have to look too far. That's the first thing we're going to learn after Tisha B'Av. Va'es Chanan. Moshe Rabbeinu said, I daven 515 times. Not for a raise, not for Yeshua, not for refuah, not for chinuch habanim. Number one on the list. Ebra na ve'era es ha'aretz ha'toiva asher be'ever ha'yarden. So the truth is, we say these tefillos. Our davening is replete. Actually, we made a bookmark. If anybody wants it, any of your Chashuva listeners wants it, we could send you the digital copy of 14 times in davening that you're mitzapeh Yeshua. When you say the Parshas HaTamid, you say Yehi Ratzain, that the Rebbeinu Shem should build the Beis HaMikdash. And when you say Rabbi Shmuel Omer, you say Yehi Ratzain Sheyibana Beis HaMikdash. When you say Kaddish, by the way, the Arizal reveals Kaddish, Yiskadel v'Yiskadei Shmei Rava Rashi Tevois 516. That's the 516th tefillah. And I'll let the audience, if they want to study the list, you'll be able to send it to them. But our Siddur is full of opportunities, and Tisha B'Av, it's a wake-up call to remind us of what our priorities should be, what should be paramount in our eyes, and we should all be mispalel. Because the Chafetz Chaim says it's not enough to ask for it. You have to be toiveya it, like a debt, like something the Rebbeinu Shem owes us. You have to be doiresh tzion. Chafetz Chaim says doiresh means to be toiveya, to claim, like somebody owes you money. So if we utilize the day properly, it's not only one day in the year, it will transform our entire year, and we should be zoichet to really be mitzapeh Yeshua and to be mispalel for the Yeshua, and be zoichet to see with our own eyes the Rebbeinu Shalom return to Eretz Yisrael.
Amen, amen. Thank you very much. I just thinking, Moshe Rabbeinu understood that a Yid without Eretz Yisrael is nicht kein Yid. I think this is something we have to daven for, that we should understand it, so that we should daven for it, because many people are trying to figure out Chavos nicht, so we're missing something. So Hashem should help us. Mitzvah Hashem, we should daven. This is what we should daven for. We should understand what a Yid is, what Eretz Yisrael is, what Hashem is. Kitchabrichu Yisrael, Araisa. Eretz Yisrael is part of it. And we're in Galus. We're forgetting. So Rabbi Glatstein, thank you very much. And
like you said, I think the biggest Galus, the darkest Galus, is not realizing we're in Galus.
Yeah. Shkoyach, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.